I think this has been the perfect run of matches where it's not elite opponents picking us apart and maybe doubling in on that Ziyech Reese area. The teams that we've been playing, just the way it is, are lower at the table. So we've been able to build confidence, not been as challenged, so they can find that balance, they can find that chemistry without being picked apart in some different ways. So I think just as far as the run has gone, it's about as good as we could have possibly hoped for. Like you said, the new relationships being built, and it's not even a front three anymore, Matt. It's a front five with Ben Chilwell and Reece James in the attack with them. Seeing some like the average positional player, maps and things like that. Ziyech is another striker, the where he's playing in some things like that too. So it seems like this team has really taken a huge change, and obviously, with Silva and Mendy defensively helping on top of Ben Chilwell. To me, I guess, where do you stand with how quickly this transformation has come? It was, the 3-3 draw, then the Southampton, and you're like, all right, we're kind of on the wobbles here. Draw against United, draw against Sevilla, and then haven't looked back since then. It's amazing.
I think we've got to be careful. I know it's easy to get very carried away, and I think we've got to be careful because, as you've alluded to, it's not been top opposition. And, I still think there'll be bumps along the road here. But I always felt, we spoke last time, I always felt that those goalless draws were a really good stepping stone after what had gone before, having proven they could score. But they found that balance quicker than I expected. I do think the second half in Krasnodar was huge because he made some substitutions. He brought Pulisic on for sort of the last, I'm going back in my memory a bit now. Was he on for about 15, 20 minutes, Pulisic, in that game?
Yeah, roughly.
And they went for 3-3 all of a sudden in that game. And that last 20 minutes, something clicked in Krasnodar, I thought that was huge for them because I thought the first half in Krasnodar, they didn't play very well. I was disappointed in them. The second half, they were playing quite well. And then the last 20 minutes, something clicked. And I thought it was to do with the substitutions. I thought it was to do with Pulisic. I thought it was to do with switching to more of a 4-3-3, where it'd been a bit more like a 4-2-3-1 before. Small changes, but it just seemed to click from there. And then from there, it's like a switch has been flicked. Like, I think Lampard's looked at it, and I think ideally he wants to be a 4-3-3 now. There'll be times when he has to be a 4-2-3-1 still, but I think he now knows he wants to be a 4-3-3. That is going to be the best formation with the players he's got. I think when Kante's back, I still prefer Kante in that middle role. And without Jorginho, I just don't like the two of them together. I think they're both, Kante's an incredible player. I think Jorginho's a fine player. I don't like the two of them together particularly. And Mason Mount, who was getting a lot of stick, has really benefited from it as well, has really benefited from, again, dropping back a bit further into midfield, being a bit more of an 8 again, sort of an 8/10. And it's really worked for him too. And I don't want to overstate the importance of Mason Mount because Chelsea have got an awful lot of top quality players and probably players who are actually more talented than Mount. But when Mount's playing well, Chelsea tend to play well.
I think one other name before we transition out of players to give a little one-up for in this run is, due to Pulisic kind of coming out injured, has been Tammy Abraham, who's been a little bit of the beneficiary of his injury and has really seemed to have improved his game even to another level from where he was last season. What have you seen maybe from Tammy during this run and just how he's enjoying his football?
Well, I was looking at Tammy's stats, actually. I was planning on doing a piece on him in the Krasnodar game, and I ended up doing a different piece because Werner sort of, I think it was someone, yeah, it was Werner. Someone sort of did something in the game there. I decided to do a different piece. But Tammy, sorry, it was the Rennes game. The Rennes game, I was planning to do something on Tammy and ended up doing it on Werner.
Timo with the double pens.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. And I just thought he sort of ran the whole tempo of that game in the end. So I ended up doing it on him. But my plan before the game was to do a piece on Tammy because I'd been looking at Tammy's stats, and Tammy, I think, has already got 4 or 5 assists for Chelsea this season, even though he hasn't been playing overly regularly. I think his best ever, going back to Villa as well, is 6 in all comps, which he's going to beat. And it shows you he's added something to his game. He's holding the ball slightly better. I still think that could be worked on. But what he's really got is awareness of what's around him now. Tammy was a pure goal scorer before, and I loved him for it. I loved him at Villa and I loved him last season at Chelsea. He was a pure goal scorer. He was a get it in the box, those long legs of his. He can get onto any cross. He can get a boot before a goalkeeper and lob it over the goalkeeper. That was Tammy Abraham. Now there's more to him. His head's up a bit more. He's aware of what's around him. He's aware of other people's runs, and he's finding assists. And he's a big plus to the team. And I must say that Tammy's attitude has been fantastic, because he could have easily gone into a real sulk at the start of the season. He was Chelsea's top goal scorer last season. I know at the end of the season, Giroud came in and basically got Chelsea into the Champions League. But, footballers' ego is what they are. If you're the top goal scorer at a club, you expect to start the next season. You don't expect to be on the bench. And, signings come in, he's dropped to the bench. He could have easily had a sulk. He still hasn't had a big new contract, because they just did the renewal that was an option renewal. So he's still not on the kind of money that a lot of players there are. There's a lot of reasons why Tammy could be very unhappy, but he's got his head down and he's dealt with the situation brilliantly.